Good afternoon, everybody. We are right there at noon. It is time for this week's ClearPath LeaderCast. My name is Craig Anderson. I'm the president of ClearPath Coaching and Consulting. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about the fourth quarter. We are past the midway point of September. We're heading into the tail end of the year. And today we're going to talk about what you can do today to get prepared to finish the year strong for your business. To really hit those goals, to lock down that bonus, to get the company to where you want it to be. That's our focus for today. What I would like to do is first introduce myself again, Craig Anderson. I spent over 25 years in corporate America, growing divisions, businesses for Fortune 500 companies. Also ran a small business and took those things that made those big companies successful around planning and people strategies and being intentional about how they're doing things, paying attention to the details, scaled that to the small business level. And we're going to talk today about one of the tools that I used as part of that, which is we're going to call that bending the curve. What does that mean? Well, if you think about, here's the trajectory we're on for the business. We would just love to push it up a little bit more. What are the things that we can do that will get us to that next level? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's talk about bending the curve. Again, what does it mean? It's, we're looking at where we're going. We kind of have a sense for where our revenue is going to be going over the next several months, but we'd love to do a little bit more. It's been a crazy couple of years trying to figure things out, understand how things are working in this COVID era, which we seem to just keep getting stuck in and not able to escape from. So what can we do? And one of the things that the bend the curve exercise does is it gets us focused. When we talk about the one-page business plan, that's about getting us focused for the whole year. What we really want to look at today is what can we do? What are the one or two things we can do that are going to move that needle up, either reduce our expense, bringing the needle down, but increasing our profit margin, or just pushing revenues up? What can we do and get really focused on that between now and the end of the year? So let's talk about that process. So what we really want to do is say, all right, let's look at where we're headed. Let's get really level set with our team, where our business is headed as we enter into the fourth quarter. What are we feeling about where our revenues are, our expenses, our profit margins? And then figure out, all right, if that's where we are, where could we go if we really start knocking it out of the park? And think of those one or two objectives or one or two goals that would make the most sense for that. So let's just assume, for the sake of the exercise today, that we want to focus on revenue as the thing that's really what we really want to push over. So let's get down with the team and start brainstorming. All right, what are the things we can do in the short term that are really going to make a difference in driving our revenue up between now and the end of the year? So we'll sit down at the table, bring our trusted team around us, and really brainstorm. What are those things? Get 5 or 10 up on the board. Think about some things that we can do, and then really laser in through that exercise to the one or two that really make the most sense for getting you over to that bend the curve level of growth for the business. And now let's say we've identified those two things are going to be: one, we're going to upsell existing clients, and two, we are going to increase the number of new customers by just a couple of percentage points between now and the end of the year. Great. Now we have, then let's see, aside from my loose examples, let's get really specific numbers there. We're going to increase upsells by $1 million in revenue, and we're going to sign $750,000 worth of new clients above and beyond our expectations for the year. Great. So now we've got those expectations. We have those objectives. We know where we're headed. We've brainstormed through it. Those make the most sense. So we have the baseline. Now we're going to have to ask ourselves some questions. What are the things we're going to need to do? Do we have the capability to do upsell? Have we trained our people, our customer service people, on how to do upsells? How are we going to increase that new customer? Well, maybe what we want to do is increase our social media advertising, and we want to ramp up our cold calling. So maybe those are the two things that we want to identify there. So we want to think through, what are the things that we need to do? What are the things we need to create to take us up and over to that next level? So really start to think through, all right, so if I have to do that, what have I got to build? If I need to really get good at upselling through my customer service people, I may need to bring in a trainer. So now we start identifying, what are the projects for that? So now I need to bring in a sales trainer to teach my call center people how to do better upselling. So that may be one project that I've got to think about. Then I may also need to create an incentive plan that makes it really worth the call center customer service reps' efforts to focus that time on upselling, to get them over their own concerns about doing it. Maybe they're much more about giving service and less about trying to do sales. So I have to get some proper incentives aligned. And then last, I need a way to track those efforts. Maybe I haven't actually done that through my customer service reps before. So now I need to build something to track those efforts and the number of outbound calls they're making to try and bump up that upselling. So now we've identified three projects that we need to have to start bending that curve upwards towards our growth. Now that we've got those three projects in mind, let's start breaking them down. Look at your team. All right, who's going to be in charge of going out and getting that sales trainer? When are you going to get it done by? When are we going to actually have that sales training take place? Because look, we're here at the end of almost at the end of third quarter, moving into fourth. So we need to get these things in place quickly. So who's going to be in charge of getting that piece in place? Who do I need on the team to pull together and who am I going to make responsible for, and who am I going to pull together towards creating that incentive plan? So maybe I need an HR person and a finance person, and I need maybe one of my other salespeople or someone from the customer service leadership to help me figure that out. So that team, here's your big goal. I need you guys to get this figured out. I need it done by this time. Who's going to be responsible on that team for running point? Get that all lined up. So I'm going to start building out those project plans again with an eye towards when do I have to get this built by if I'm going to make meaningful effort towards fourth quarter growth. So I'm going to go through and identify those core projects, no more than 2 or 3 that are going to get me to where I can start moving that objective up and implementing that objective that I've set out. So that's what we start to do, is say, okay, now what are some other strategies? Are there other strategies we need to pursue? And just really start thinking through what are the other things we might want to do. So be very intentional about this. Sit down, figure out what the 1 or 2 things are that can really move the needles that you want to move between now and the end of the fourth quarter. So that's thing 1. Thing 2 is to sit down and figure out, all right, what are the different ways we can do that? Now that I know what I want to do, what are the ways that I can get that done? And then 3, what do I have to build to get that done? And that's how we can start implementing these, putting these in place. So we can start bending that curve in the direction we would like our business to go between now and the end of the year. So it's all about focus. It's all about making sure your whole team knows, hey, these are the priorities of what we're trying to do. We are deploying resources towards these 2 projects because we want to finish this year strong. We, maybe at the beginning of this year had some ideas about where we thought we'd be as a business by this point, but everything's fluid as the course of the year, especially in these interesting times we're living in. So get level set on where we're at, figure out where we want to go, brainstorm the 1 or 2 things that are going to make the most impact towards bending that curve up where we want our revenue to be, strategize the ways that we can do it, and then identify the projects, identify the teams, and identify the timelines that we need to put in place to make that move forward. And then we, in this case, we're probably going to want to implement these things by sometime in mid-October if we really want to push that rush, because we know how it gets to be in the fourth quarter, right? We enter into the burn months with September and we're kind of wrapping up third quarter. We get into October, Halloween holiday. We get into Thanksgiving, another holiday, and then we start getting into the year-end holidays. The time can go very quickly between now and the end of the year, and your opportunity to have maximum impact is right now. So get your team together, start putting these plans in place, identify the objectives, identify the ways you're going to get there, and then figure out what the projects are and the resources are you need to get it done. Make this a priority to get this done in the next 2 weeks for your business. Get those things implemented in early October, and then go measure your impact, measure your activity, measure your results, get focused. That's where we want to go. So that's the big thing I wanted to talk to you guys about today, is bending the curve and how to bend that curve. As we start getting into October, we're also going to start talking about how to start building your plan. So thanks, guys. Look for more content coming next week. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.